Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be looking at Forests of Dibella versus Dark Ages Trees of the North. So we have the mods here. As you can see, Dark Ages is 33.86 megabytes and Forests of Dibella is quite a bit bigger at 108.26 megabytes. Just a quick disclaimer, as you know, well, if you read the descriptions, you'll know that I always put at the bottom of my videos I'm not affiliated with the mod or the author, but if you look there on the Forests of Dibella, you'll see video comparison by Bainesy. Just to let you know, that was a video I did on my own back, and the mod author contacted me and asked could he use the video on his mod page, so I said absolutely, that's fine, but that won't sway my opinion in any way at all. So first of all, we are looking at Forests of Dibella, and one of the main things about this mod is that it does increase the size of the trees. I think it doubles the size of the trees if I remember correctly, and we're about to bring in Dark Ages, and you'll see that the trees aren't as big as the trees in Forests of Dibella, but the leaves are a lot greener, well, a lighter green, which I really like. It doesn't look as murky as Forests of Dibella, but I do prefer the much larger trees. It does lend to a more fantasy world, I feel. I'll take a quick look at the textures on the trunks of those trees, and Forests of Dibella does a great job here. That's a very good texture, it looks very realistic. And Dark Ages, also a nice texture. This one actually looks a little murkier than Forests of Dibella, but it's still a nice texture. Moving on, we're going to take a quick look at a wider landscape shot. I always like to see how the game renders things at a distance whenever we change stuff, especially when we're changing the size of the trees, and Forests of Dibella does a fine job, and so does Dark Ages, and you'll see there that the trees do look much smaller on the Dark Ages version, which is to be expected, because although Dark Ages does increase the size of the trees, obviously not so much as Forests of Dibella does. And here we just take a quick peek at the marshlands just outside Solitude. As you can see there are different textures on those trees there, and even different meshes between the two. I've got a spider running straight towards me there. Who knew spiders could swim? And we're in the very far north now of Skyrim, where everything is frozen, and Forests of Dibella does a very nice job with those snow-covered trees and the log in the foreground. But Dark Ages just looks a bit better. I think it's because the trees aren't as big, so therefore the textures aren't as stretched or as prominent as they are with Forests of Dibella. We'll talk a bit more about the snow trees in the next screen. And as you can see, Forests of Dibella kind of losing some of that detail when we go up close. The leaves, texture on the leaves is a little, it kind of just looks like white paint splashed over the leaves, but the trunks themselves look very nice. Obviously can't see the trunks so well on this one because the trees are shorter. I didn't take that into account when I was catching my screen, so I missed the trunks, but you can see that the detail on the leaves there seem to be a lot nicer, and I think that may be because they're smaller, but also maybe they've used a much nicer texture. And here are some spruce trees that I'm just naming them. I don't know the actual name for them, but spruce seems right. Great job here with Forests of Dibella. Nice variation in the colour, and the detail on that trunk there in the foreground is very nice. We'll have a close look at that in a moment. But as we go over to Dark Ages, you'll see that the colours are a lot more balanced, focused more in the yellow to orange range, which I think lends very nice to the actual overall look of the trees. That trunk in the foreground there doesn't look as detailed as it did with Forests of Dibella, but I think on the whole the detail on the leaves holds up as it has in the previous screens. And here we are just taking a quick look at the trunks close up. Again, Forests of Dibella does a very nice job nice amount of detail in the texture. It is a new texture for the mod, I believe. If not, if that is vanilla stretch, then it looks very good considering it's now twice the size that it was intended to be. But I think the Dark Ages falls down just a little bit here on the white tree that I've christened Spruce Trees. You can see a texture seam there, which I'm not too fussed about, but the actual overall detail of the texture isn't as nice. However, the other two trees do a nice job. Personally, I like Forest of Dibella's trunk texture a bit more, but I think the leaves again is better with Dark Ages, and we'll see that again in these screens. Again, Forest of Dibella does a nice job, but we kind of see that the colours there seem to kind of be all mismatched and random, whereas when we go over to Dark Ages, it looks a lot more balanced. I think it's, as I said, they've focused that colour range just a bit better, and again, as I've been saying the last few screens, there seems to be a nice amount of detail in the leaves that you just don't get with Forest of Dibella. And we just have another quick close-up at those trunk textures. Again, as I keep saying, Forest of Dibella does a great job here, and as you can see, those colours are kind of all over the place in the background, but Dark Ages focuses it again and brings it in quite nicely, although I'm not a massive fan of those trunks. And here we are in Riverwood, one of my favourite locations when we're checking trees out, because it is a very nice location, and as you can see, the tower and trunks of Forest of Dibella really do lend nicely to this location. It really does give it that fantasy feel. Moving on to Dark Ages, we have a smaller mesh on those trees, but still very nice, bit more clearer. It's not so overbearing. If you feel the Forest of Dibella is just too crowded, then obviously Dark Ages would be your choice, but I'd have to go with Forest of Dibella. I am a fan of it in this location at least. And a quick look at the fallen tree trunks. As you can see, it's kind of got that octagonal pattern going on there, and you can see it's kind of just a quick mesh thrown together by the developers, I assume, and it is just sharp angles on it, but the textures are very nice. And those square meshes kind of a bit more prominent on Dark Ages, although that's not the mod author's fault. Again, those textures don't really do it for me in terms of the tree trunks, but I do really like the amount of detail that is kept in those leaves as we go further into the background. And here we can see Forest of Dibella, really its weakest point, I feel, is these trees with the snow kind of thawing on the leaves. Kind of looks like someone's just thrown white paint over the texture, which I believe is probably vanilla, but I just really wish that the author would address that and kind of tighten it up a bit. As you can see with Dark Ages, we don't kind of have that problem. The trees don't seem to have so much snow on them as the previous one, but it does make sense with those very fine bristles that are on those leaves. Again, I'd have to give that to Dark Ages purely because it doesn't seem as egregious as it does with Forest of Dibella. And our final screen here really put in for no purpose other than it's one of my favourite locations to capture, and it does look very nice. So which mod would I recommend? Well, I would stick with Forest of Dibella personally. I do really like the mod. I just like how big the trees look and how great that lends itself to locations like Falkreath and Riverwood, but if you're going to go for absolute detail, then I think Dark Ages takes it. It does look very nice and very sharp, although its weak point is kind of those tree trunks. But as always, thanks for watching, guys. Leave any mod suggestions in the comments, and I shall see you next time.